Yes.
We're back on the red couch with Kathleen Kirwin, a civil rights and criminal trial attorney in the United States for the past 28 years. She also specializes in international human rights and humanitarian law, with particular emphasis on Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. In our previous conversation, Kate discussed how she came to be involved with human rights issues and the direction her work has taken her in. Now in part 2, Kate will shine a light on not only raising awareness, but also on how we all, including you, our listeners, can take action and contribute in a meaningful way. So a lot of us think that we're not educated enough, we don't have enough time, and that we can't really make a difference. What would you say to that?
I would say that that is what most people say.
Right.
I think for any individual person or group to even address that question, people have to make an individual choice about, or maybe even make a definition of what make a difference means to them. It's a term of art that's tossed around quite a bit in our culture. You know, I want to make a difference. Well, to whom? About what? Why? Where? In what way? To me, that needs to be broken down until you find, and it could take some looking. It could just fall in your lap. I say whatever the it is, whatever the issue is, or the cause is, or
right.
the person is. And do a few things with yourself or to yourself is be open to whatever experiences either present themselves or you cause them to, you create them yourself. And don't think that you can't do whatever the it is. And realize that, or try to realize, and that comes through reading and study, listening to people, going to talks, reading websites, just also exposing yourself. I say educating yourself, but it's more exposure than education per se, to what's going on in everywhere from your community or your school, your state, your country, international countries, and see, you know, it's like picking a hobby almost. You know, some people collect stamps. You know, I try to end wars wherever they are. It's pretty much the same thing, but that's what I dedicate myself to. So the stamp collector is probably not going to say, I don't have time to collect stamps today. I chastise myself that I don't have enough time, or I don't make enough time, more to the point, to do what I consider to be all I can to stop every war in every place that's going on all over the world. It's my passion. But it took a lifetime. Granted, I was probably one of the bizarre few who caught onto it in my earliest years, but nevertheless, it's a life learning experience, and there are so many experiences to learn about and to realize, and this is probably actually the hardest part for any individual, is to realize their own self-worth and value, that they have something to offer somebody, even if it's one person, a group, an issue, a cause, a country, whatever. So
we the people, we all know that expression. Then, do you believe that that's true? I know I often hear people kind of talking a little bit negatively about, oh, well, you know, you can't really make a difference. And what about that, we the people?
I'm a big believer in we the people on multiple fronts. We the people are the only ones that can make a difference. The whole world is made up of we the people, or we the persons.
But what if we're not human rights activists? What if we're not civil rights attorneys? What if we're just regular people?
Yeah, well, oftentimes I'm a regular person. Well, that's probably not true. I'm a completely insane person. But I know what you mean. The great thing about trying to, quote unquote, make a difference, help in some way, is that regular people is your best, being a regular person is your best qualification. No experience required. You come in with a willingness and an open mind to do whatever, go wherever, advocate whatever. And, the issues are, voluminous as far as, poverty, war, education, healthcare, whatever. There's enough issues to go around the world times, a million. But, it doesn't take a Rhodes Scholar to be an activist. Most activists are not Rhodes Scholars, a few are, but it's not we're not celebrities in that regard. And for those who are active, they're active in the activist community, from being a bit redundant. It's the passion. It's their humanness. It's their equality to all the other humans that they're working with and for and on behalf of that draws you together. That's the only qualification you need. And aliens also can apply, non-discriminatory as far as who can do anything. Anybody can do anything if they're the least bit interested or motivated. They don't have to go to Afghanistan. They don't have to go to Iraq. You don't have to travel, to war zones. And then there are those of us that do. But that's not required. With the Afghan peace volunteers, we do a global day of listening. I'm not sure if we mentioned that in the first half.
No, we didn't.
Where we over the years, every 21st of the month, we have what we call as a global day of listening. And it started with the Afghan youth basically wanting to reach out to the rest of the world because they're so isolated in every which way in Afghanistan. So some remarkable people, both in Afghanistan and in the United States, figured out a way. The brilliancy and angelic nature of Doug Mackey up in Olympia, Washington, who puts this whole thing together. He's got Skype going, phones going, conference calls, podcasts, and he connects Afghanistan and basically the rest of the world. And the mantra of the show is basically talk to ordinary Afghans, And so we have classes of schools who call in to the Global Day, and sixth graders call in. Well, what do you do for fun? What do you do for sports? What do you study in school? We've got activists all over the world who call in, from Cairo and Australia. I mean, truly all global. It is a global day of listening. People call in, and somehow Doug makes it all work. And Hakeem, who is the also another angel on the earth, as is Doug, is a Singaporean physician who mentors the Afghan peace volunteers, has for years, worked in the refugee camps in Pakistan and now in Afghanistan, and mentors the youth. And so he's translating. Although the youth English has gotten much better, Hakeem translates. So we've got all kinds of languages, all sorts of ways to communicate, and it's people can sit in their house and watch it live stream. So you don't have to go. Anyone can. So you don't have to go anywhere. The thing, if you take the Afghan peace volunteers for example, they don't want your money. They don't want your pity. They just want to know you and for you to know them. It's truly that reaching out and people reaching back is their inspiration. It keeps them going in the horrific situation they live in. Just the talking, just the hearing, the communicating is their lifeline. And it costs, the average nothing. You get on your computer, you listen. And one of the, we talked a bit about the blue sky.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that in the first half?
Yeah, how the Afghan Peace Youth Volunteers, they have these blue scarves to signify.
So I brought one for you, actually.
It's beautiful color.
So needs a little bit of trimming here, but I brought one for you.
Thank you.
I know you watched some of the Afghan youth videos I gave you before the show.
I love it. It's gorgeous.
And
thank you. Thank you so much.
And it's in solidarity with the Afghan peace volunteers and the people all over the world who are in solidarity with them. So on behalf of the Afghan peace volunteers,
thank you so much.
Faiz, Abdullah, Ali, Gulamai, Mohammadjan, and many others, thank you for letting me come here and talk about them. They are so, so dear to me and so many others around the world. So
I'm very honored to receive it. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I'm very appalled at how people throughout history have treated other people inhumanely. And this is, just one of many examples that's so harsh. I'm wondering why you believe that continues to happen, just continues to repeat itself. But more importantly, how can we as a society start to change that in a fundamental way?
That's a substantial question. Sadly, I think the human species is wired that way toward violence. At least that's my working theory. And I think it's something that we as a people have to fight against, actually. The complexity of the world today, I don't know if it can be measured. The way, like I said, the horrific way we collectively treat each other. To me, the Earth is like the cartoon channel of the universe. People tune in, or aliens tune in and say, look what these crazy Earthlings are doing to each other, to their planet, to their home. And they're right. Fortunately, there are so many brave and thoughtful people over millennia, not just recently, who do try to, as your question begs, make a difference. What does that mean? If it means, stopping all war everywhere, which is my personal, probably unfulfilled task. If it's making sure one child goes to bed less hungry, if it means one child in the refugee camp in Kabul doesn't freeze to death. The goals don't have to be enormous, very small. That's a difference. That one child didn't die, that you contributed $20 to the Afghan Peace Group to make one duvet that one woman made. You fed her family. She got to be with a group of other women outside the home. The Afghan youth delivered it to the refugee camp, and some elderly grandmother or a little newborn got wrapped up in it and didn't die that night. If that's all you did for your whole life, that's enough. Yeah. And then if you choose to do more, however it looks, it's always there to be done.
So you've seen so many places in the world that have incredible unrest.
Yes.
Places that have been decimated. What are some of the main issues that you would most like to see awareness raised about?
For me, that's a simplistic yet gigantic question, but it is a simplistic one. From my personal philosophy is that nothing, and I mean nothing, can thrive, grow, survive while there is war going on, from any source, from whatever group, other individual, whatever country. nothing can grow. Nothing good can grow out of that. War affects food, poverty, economics, healthcare, to the extent of, am I going to be dead tonight? Or if if my house gets bombed, will I have medical care? I mean, it runs every single, it runs through the spectrum of human existence. And so as far as, what needs to be addressed, if you just take this country, to me, it's war. Stopping war, stopping the fighting, stopping the killing of whomever, I don't discriminate between who not to kill. Don't kill anybody, just for a day, and see what would happen, See how the world would change if everyone stopped, just for one day, not killing anyone. Or people could go, my Afghan youth could go to the next day and say, I know I don't have to risk death, and a horrific death, tomorrow. How that would generate into the world, I can't even imagine. But that doesn't exist. But we, the people, can make that exist if we utilize our power, our individual and collective power, which we, especially in this country, we don't touch it. Other countries, much more so. But this country, whether it's because we're so big geographically, it's hard to get organized, basically. It doesn't have to be, and in fact, should be nonviolent. There's ways to make it happen. But we to me, as Americans, have abdicated our collective power to do the best thing that could ever happen to our earth, which is to stop war. And then, if I know I can go out, if I'm in Africa and I want to go out and pick my coffee and I know I won't be dead, yes, I can go do that. Everything else is possible. But if there's war going on and all the horrors that are collateral to it, and not just collateral, central to it, to me, nothing else can happen. So the awareness raising, it's not just, anti-war rabble or anti-war protesting. It's the underlying reasoning behind why stopping it, besides just not killing. That should be enough, but it's not. I remember I went to Chicago last year for a protest. I frequent a lot of protests against NATO, and one of the battle cries from a lot of my fellow peace activists is, let's not spend the money in Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's spend it here on education and healthcare. All rightly so, but my argument is different than that. I don't care if the war in Iraq or Afghanistan or Pakistan, wherever, didn't cost anybody anything. If it was a free war and it didn't cost one American any trouble, a penny, that's still, I don't want to trade American economics for a foreign life, basically. And until we as a species really come down to see the value of the other, which in this country we're not particularly good at, I have to say, of the other. Nor have we had war on this continent. So we don't have that first-hand experience either, like most of the rest of the world does. If there's an awareness to be raised, it's, to me, that's my passion.
Yeah, and we're all under the same blue sky.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you had a guiding principle or a dream for mankind, how would you describe that?
Now that's one I can explain briefly, contrary to my other answers. But it subsumes or encapsulates basically what I just said. I have two wishes for humankind, and within humankind, I say humankind, no, I say all living things usually. Animals, people, trees, nature, everybody and everything is included, because it's relevant to all living things, and all the things that even we don't know are living, which to me is a great more than we know. But it's very simple. It's that everybody or everything have enough to eat and a safe place to eat it. It encompasses my great wish for humankind and this planet. It doesn't get any more complicated than that.
It's really beautiful. So normally at this time, I ask every guest on the red couch, what is your secret to living a happy and successful life? And I mentioned this to you earlier, so would you be willing to share what you said to me?
I would. Yes, your question presupposes that I live a happy and meaningful life, which I don't believe I do. So I can't sit here and give out advice to anybody as far as how to do that. I suffer from basically, until the world is okay, I can't be okay. You know, that can be translated as arrogance and ridiculous and, you know, a bunch of other adjectives, no doubt. But I'm not happy. How can I be happy with the world such as it is? How can I be happy when the Afghan youth who wear these over in Kabul are at risk of being killed every day? I can't and won't allow myself that happiness. Yes, I have moments here and moments there.
Sure. But
generally speaking, no. And successful, I don't even know what that means. I guess a similar answer to successful. Successful in what? You know, yes, I've done some stuff. Yes, I've gone some places, tried some cases. You know, but what does that mean? You know, to me, success really doesn't have a definition. Success assumes or presumes that there's an end in sight. I've reached a success limit. I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know what that is, actually.
Right, because you keep going. You have an incredible amount of endurance, and I admire that very, very much. And I so appreciate this beautiful gift.
It's our pleasure.
And there's a lot of websites, and if the work that you do is inspiring listeners, there are many websites you can go to that are going to be featured in just a moment on the screen. So I want to thank you very much for your inspiring us and continuing this call to action for the average person, every one of us, being a part of taking action and making the world a much better place. So thank you for being here.
Very welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us
on the red couch.